Do you know how to use the word would in English? Today I'm showing you all 12 uses in easy English with many examples. Hello, my name is Josh. Welcome to English Speaking 360. If you like what you see today, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get all of my future videos. Here are a few sentences that contain the word would. Would you like some coffee? I would buy it if I had money. He said he would call me. I wish it would stop raining. I'd rather stay home tonight. Would is a modal auxiliary verb. It means that it is always used with another verb. As you can see in the sentences here, would like, would buy, would call, would stop, and would stay. In each of these sentences, would has a different use. Here are the 12 uses of the word would. Today, we're going to take a look at each one. But before we start, you should know that the first 4 are basic uses that everyone should know. So if you're a beginner, focus on the first 4. The next 4 are intermediate uses. Definitely not easy, a lot more challenging. And finally, the last 4 are more abstract uses, and that is the advanced level. So if you really want to see if you're at a high level of English, check out the last 4. Now let's get started with the basic uses. And even if your English is very good, don't forget it's always good to practice. Polite requests. We use would to ask someone to do something politely. For example, would you help me? Would you help me is a lot more polite than just saying, hey, help me. If you just say help me, that's an order, but would makes it polite. If you want to know the structure, it's always the same structure, would plus subject plus base verb. Would you help? Would you turn down the music? Much more polite than turn down the music. Would you send me the file? Excellent business English. Would you mind waiting for me? I gotta use the restroom. Would you mind is a slightly different form, would plus subject plus base verb, but after that it is followed by the ing form of another verb. Waiting. Polite offers. We use would when offering something politely. And that is very useful. Would you like some coffee? So you are offering coffee to someone in a polite way. Here is the structure. Would you like plus noun. Would you like coffee? Would you like dessert? But here we have a second structure. Would you like me to plus verb. With the first structure, you are offering something. With the second structure, you are offering an action. For example, would you like me to drive? To drive is the action that you are offering to perform. Would you like me to carry that? I am offering to carry her shopping bags, and she looks so happy about it. Polite desires. Would like and would love are polite ways to say want. Here's an example. I would like a sandwich, please. Much more polite than saying, hey, I want a sandwich. I want a sandwich is not bad, but it's not polite at all, and I'm not sure your sandwich is gonna taste very good. But I would like a sandwich, please. Sounds so polite. So here's the structure, subject plus would like or would love and a noun. I would like a sandwich. I'd like a window seat. Here you can see the shortened form of would, which is only apostrophe D. I'd like. Here's a second structure, subject plus would like, would love, and 2 infinitives. So in the first case, you want something, but in the second case, you want to do something. They would love to visit Canada. They would love to visit. They want to visit Canada. He'd love to meet her. He saw Mary online and he swiped right on the app, and now he would love to meet her. Preferences, number 4. When given a choice, use would rather and would prefer. The first structure is would rather plus base verb. I would rather stay home. You can also say I'd rather. I would rather stay home. Base verb stay. Would prefer plus to infinitive. I would prefer to stay home. Here you have to notice the difference. It's very important. You cannot say I would rather to stay home. It doesn't work. I would prefer to stay home. Would prefer also can be used with a gerund or a noun. Here's the gerund form. I would prefer staying home. You cannot say I would rather staying home. And the last example is would prefer plus a noun. I'd prefer a home-cooked meal. A home-cooked meal is a noun phrase. I would prefer a home-cooked meal or I'd prefer a home-cooked meal. Both are acceptable. Ready to try something more challenging? Let's go with the intermediate uses. Conditional situations. Used for imaginary situations only, and this is the most important grammatical use, so watch out here, it's very, very important. Here's an example. I would buy it if I had money. It is an imaginary situation because I don't have money, but if I had money, I would buy it. So subject plus would plus base verb, I would buy whatever if, and then subject past tense, if I had. Here's another example. We would travel more if we had time. We would travel more if we had time, but we don't have time, so that's why we don't travel very often. I would go with you if I weren't busy. If I were here is not a mistake, it is the subjunctive mood. If you were me, what would you do? But you are not me, but I'm asking for your opinion. Once again, the subjunctive here. Future in the past. A future event viewed from the past. That's a little bit challenging to understand. Think of would as the past version of will. Let me give you an example. I knew it would happen. So the structure here is a past verb, subject, it, would, and then the base verb happen. One more example. She believed she would win. At that time in the past, she thought, I will win. But now the event is already finished. She didn't win. She believed in the past that she would win. Future in the past. We thought it would rain. So in the past we thought, oh, it will rain today, so let's bring an umbrella. But it didn't rain. We thought it would rain. He didn't expect prices would rise. So in the past, he thought prices will not rise. So he didn't expect that to happen, but it did happen. Reported speech, very important use here. Will often becomes would, not always, but very often because of back shifting. Here's an example. I will come. He said he would come. So the man said, I will come, but when you report his words, you say, he said he would come. Here's the structure to help you. Subject, said that or told me that, plus another subject, would base verb. He said he would come. I will pay. She told me she would pay. I will try. You said you would try, but now he's obviously scared and he doesn't want to try anymore. So you can say, you said you would try. Come on, jump in the water. I will wait. She told me she would wait. If you have trouble with reported speech, I'm going to add a video in the upper right corner, very useful video. Number 8, past habits. Would can describe repeated actions in the past, and in that case, it is very similar to used to. Here's an example. We would go camping every summer. It is the same as we used to go camping every summer. Subject plus would, base verb, and a time expression, for example here, every summer, so it's a past time expression. My sister would always sing while cooking. My sister used to sing while cooking. My dad would feed the birds every morning. My dad used to feed the birds every morning. They would stay up late during the holidays. They used to stay up late during the holidays. Can you handle the advanced level? Let's see what you can do. Number 9, willingness and refusal. Would means was willing to. Here's an example. Whenever I needed advice, my mom would listen. Whenever I needed advice, my mom was willing to listen to me. Here's the structure, subject, would plus base verb. Very simple structure, and that is the willingness part. But would like this is not seen very often. What is seen very often is wouldn't, meaning refused to. For example, he would not listen to anyone. He would not, subject, would not or wouldn't plus base verb. He would not listen to anyone. He refused to listen to anyone. Here's another example. The car wouldn't start. The car refused to start. So here you can see a person can refuse something, but also a machine can refuse to do something. The car wouldn't start. Another common example is the door wouldn't open. The door wouldn't open, the door was locked. I tried the door, but it would not open. Number 10, wishes and complaints. This is used when we want someone to change, and very often there is annoyance or frustration involved. Let me show you what I mean. I wish she would answer her phone. I'm a little annoyed, I'm a little frustrated that she is not answering her phone. I wish she would. So subject, I wish, she, another subject, would answer, so the base verb. I wish he would stop talking. He talks too much. I wish he would stop talking. I wish it would stop raining. There's frustration here. It's been raining for 10 days straight. I wish it would stop raining. She wishes the baby would stop crying. Ah, poor mother. She wishes the baby would stop, but the baby keeps on crying. Number 11, tentative opinions. Would can make opinions sound less direct. And that is very useful, especially in business English. Here's an example. I would suggest getting in line. I think we should get in line is great, but I would suggest is even softer. It's even nicer. Here's the form, subject plus would plus base verb. I would say that's correct. Instead of just saying, yes, that's right, I would say that's correct. Much softer. I would advise caution. You should be careful. I would advise caution. And one more example. I would suspect that's the problem. Of course, if it's not plugged in, that is probably the problem, but I would suspect much softer. And finally, 12, unreal past. This one is very challenging. That is the third conditional, imaginary past situations. Here's an example. If I had been invited, I would have come to the party. So the structure is if plus a past perfect. If I had been invited, would have plus past participle. I would have come to the party. If we had left earlier, we would have arrived on time. Same form here. But you can also flip it around. Would have plus past participle plus if past perfect. He would have bought the car if it had been cheaper. So notice here that in this structure there is no comma. because the if clause is at the back of the sentence, not at the front. Here's one more example. She would have passed the test if she had studied. But unfortunately, she had not studied, so she did not pass the test. Imaginary past situation. Here's a short summary to help you remember the 12 uses of would. First, polite request. Would you help me? Second, polite offer. Would you like some coffee? Polite desire. I would like to visit Canada. I would love to visit Canada. Preference. I would rather stay home. Conditional situation. I would buy it if I had money. Future in the past. I knew it would happen. 7. Reported speech. He said he would come. Past habit. We would go camping every summer. Number 9. Willingness and refusal. The car wouldn't start. Number 10. For wishes and complaints. I wish he would stop talking. 11. Tentative opinion. I would suggest waiting. And finally, the unreal past. If he had asked, I would have helped. But he did not ask, so I didn't help. Make sure you take a screenshot of this to help you practice in your free time. I know it's not easy to master the word would, but if you need extra practice, go to my website, EnglishSpeaking360.com. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.